In a world of noise and distraction, there is one place where wisdom still whispers, where voices of greatness echo through time. Welcome to the Motivational Library, a sanctuary of words that awaken your fire, a realm where every book rewrites your destiny. Open your mind, ignite your purpose, and step into the Motivational Library, where transformation begins with a single thought.
Let's begin.
Preface. The moment you outgrow the office. There comes a quiet moment when your life begins to whisper. It's not loud. It doesn't come as a crisis. It comes as a subtle, almost imperceptible realization. You've outgrown the person you had to become to survive your job. You feel it on a random morning. The coffee tastes the same. The commute looks identical. But something inside you has shifted. The familiar walls of the office no longer feel like security. They feel like limitation. The routine that once gave you purpose now feels mechanical, as if you're running a program written by someone else. You used to call it discipline. Now it feels more like autopilot. And somewhere inside, beneath the layers of professionalism and performance, you begin to sense something ancient and alive. The raw, restless need to grow again. For years, you've been told that success is linear, that if you keep climbing the ladder, if you stay consistent, you'll eventually find happiness waiting at the top. But no one ever tells you what happens when you realize the ladder is leaning against the wrong wall. That realization is not failure, it's awakening. You start to see how deeply the system conditioned you. You were taught to measure progress by your payslip, your promotion, your productivity. You were taught to chase external approval instead of inner peace. And for a while it worked. You built, achieved, and survived. But somewhere in the process, you forgot to live. Then one day, something changes. You look around and see people chasing the same promotions, burning the same hours, wearing the same stress like a badge of honor, and it hits you. This isn't growth. This is glorified exhaustion. The truth is, evolution is not about abandoning your job. It's about expanding your consciousness beyond it. It's about realizing that your career is just one expression of your potential, not the definition of it. You can still be ambitious. You can still work hard. But when growth becomes internal instead of external, you stop climbing for approval and start rising for alignment. You no longer chase more. You pursue meaning. You no longer live to impress. You live to express. You no longer run from discomfort. You walk towards self-discovery. This book is about that shift, the invisible moment when your evolution begins. It's about the transition from being driven to being directed, from seeking success to embodying significance, from chasing titles to cultivating truth. The journey beyond the office is not about quitting your job. It's about reclaiming your life. And as you step into this next chapter, remember, growth will not always feel comfortable, but it will always be worth it. Chapter 1. The Illusion of Busyness. You've been rewarded your entire life for being busy. From school to adulthood, from homework to overtime, busyness became your badge of worth. The world taught you that motion equals meaning, that if your calendar is full, your life must be too. But the truth is, busyness often hides emptiness. Think about it. How many times have you told someone, "I've just been busy," when what you really meant was, "I don't know what I'm doing, but it feels safer than stopping"? Busyness is the most socially accepted form of avoidance. It keeps you too occupied to question whether you're actually fulfilled. You stay moving, because slowing down might force you to look inward. And that's terrifying. Because if you stop, even for a moment, you might realize you've been sprinting in circles, achieving, producing, and performing, yet never arriving. So you build your identity around your output. You measure your days by how much you've done, not by how deeply you've lived. Your worth becomes tied to your productivity, and soon rest feels like guilt. But deep down, you start noticing something. The more you do, the less alive you feel. The more you achieve, the less peace you experience. That's when it hits you. You've mistaken movement for meaning. It's not that ambition is wrong. It's that blind ambition without reflection leads to burnout. You can be productive and still be unfulfilled. You can be successful and still feel stuck. Because activity without awareness isn't growth. It's motion. You start remembering that the moments that changed your life weren't the busiest ones. They were the stillest ones. Moments of pause, moments of truth, moments where you could finally hear yourself think. You realize how often people wear exhaustion as evidence of importance. They brag about being overworked as if that's a measure of value. But there's no courage in burning out. There's no honor in being perpetually overwhelmed. True growth isn't about adding more. It's about subtracting what doesn't serve you. When you stop filling every minute with noise, you make space for something powerful, clarity. And clarity is the birthplace of transformation. Imagine your mind as a glass of muddy water. If you keep stirring it, emails, meetings, distractions, it stays cloudy. But if you let it sit still, even for a while, the sediment settles. You begin to see clearly again. That's what stillness does. It allows you to see your truth beneath the chaos. But here's the hard part. When you slow down, you'll start to feel everything you've been avoiding. The doubt, the restlessness, the loneliness, the realization that maybe you've built a life around what you should do, not what you want to do. And that's why most people stay busy, not because they have to, but because it keeps them numb. It's easier to answer another email than to ask, am I living the life I truly want? Yet this discomfort is sacred, because it's through discomfort that self-awareness begins. And awareness is the foundation of change. When you finally stop, you don't lose momentum, you gain direction. You start aligning your energy with purpose, instead of scattering it in 1,000 meaningless directions. You begin to realize that rest isn't the opposite of work. It's the fuel for it. That presence isn't laziness, it's mastery. And that success without fulfillment is simply survival in disguise. So you make a new kind of commitment, not to be busier, but to be better. Not to chase more, but to choose meaning. Not to fill your days, but to feel them. You begin to define productivity differently. It's no longer about hours worked, but about energy well spent. It's not about how many things you do, but how deeply you engage with the few that matter. That's when life starts to expand again. Because now, instead of running endlessly, you're walking consciously. Instead of reacting, you're creating. Instead of proving, you're becoming. You stop trying to keep up and start learning to keep in alignment, in balance, in presence. And as you live this way, something profound begins to unfold. You realize that peace was never found at the end of a task list. It was always waiting in the pause between them. Reflection for the listener. You've been conditioned to believe that doing more makes you more valuable. But what if you measured your worth not by your workload, but by your well-being? What if, instead of asking, what did I achieve today? You asked, did I live with intention today? Because the moment you start asking better questions, your life begins to give you better answers. Certain Chapter 3, The Awakening Within. At first it feels like restlessness. You can't quite explain it. The job is fine, the pay is decent, the routine is stable. Yet there's a quiet ache you can't ignore anymore. You go through your day on autopilot, smiling in meetings, answering messages, checking tasks. But beneath the surface, something feels off. You sense that your life has become too small for who you're becoming. And that realization is both liberating and terrifying. This is the beginning of awakening. Not a thunderclap, but a slow unfurling. You start to notice the subtle ways you've been living half alive, agreeing when you want to say no, working late because you're afraid of being seen as lazy, nodding along to conversations that drain your energy. You start to see how much of your life has been built on obligation rather than desire. How often you've mistaken compliance for loyalty, and how rarely you've allowed yourself to ask, what do I actually want? You've spent so long trying to be good at your job that you forgot to ask if your job was good for you. Awakening begins when you start listening to your own discontent. It's your soul's way of saying, we've outgrown this. And while your mind might resist, because comfort feels safe, your heart knows the truth. Safety is not the same as purpose. You realize that most people aren't truly unhappy because their lives are bad. They're unhappy because their lives are numb. There's no vitality, no spark, no expansion, just repetition. And so you start craving aliveness again. You want mornings that mean something. You want conversations that go beyond deadlines. You want to wake up and feel like your day matters. But here's the paradox of awakening. Before you can find new meaning, you must face the emptiness of the old. You have to sit with the discomfort of realizing that the life you worked so hard to build no longer fits. You have to let go of the illusion that growth always feels good. Evolution often begins with heartbreak, not always from people, but from places, patterns, and parts of yourself you can no longer be. It's the grief of leaving behind the known and the hope of discovering something truer on the other side. You begin to see how growth demands endings. Just as trees shed leaves to survive the winter, you too must shed roles, routines, and identities that have completed their purpose. And that shedding is sacred work. So you start saying no more often, you stop explaining your intuition, you make peace with being misunderstood. You stop chasing approval and start seeking alignment. You begin to understand that your awakening will cost you your comfort. But comfort was never the goal. Growth was. Every person who's ever evolved has faced this moment. The moment where familiarity becomes too small for their truth. The moment where staying becomes more painful than changing. This is where you are now, standing at the edge of your next becoming. It's not about quitting your job tomorrow or burning bridges. It's about awakening the part of you that refuses to live numb. It's about showing up to your life, consciously, courageously, completely. And here's the beautiful thing. Once you awaken, you can never go back. You can play along for a while, but you'll always feel that quiet dissonance between who you are and who you're pretending to be. That discomfort is not punishment, it's guidance. It's your higher self refusing to settle. So you follow the pull. You begin learning, reading, exploring, reflecting. You notice small sparks of inspiration that used to go ignored. And little by little, the fog begins to lift. You realize that awakening is not a single moment. It's a series of choices. To be honest instead of comfortable. To be curious instead of certain. To be authentic instead of accepted. And the more you choose authenticity, the more life begins to mirror it back. New opportunities appear. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You stop forcing outcomes and start flowing with purpose. You start creating instead of complying. You stop trying to fit into boxes that were never built for you. Awakening doesn't always make life easier, but it makes it real. You start to see the beauty in simplicity, the power in truth, the richness in being fully alive. And as you walk this path, you'll realize you were never lost, just asleep. You were never broken, just buried under conditioning. You were never meant to stay in the same chapter forever. Your awakening isn't the end of who you were. It's the beginning of who you're becoming. Chapter 4. The Art of Inner Work. You've spent years mastering the outer world. You've learned to meet deadlines, impress colleagues, hit targets, and check boxes. You've measured your progress in emails sent, tasks completed, and hours logged. And in that pursuit, you became competent, capable, and reliable. But somewhere along the way, you neglected the most important project of all, yourself. The one project that never ends, never pauses, and never comes with a performance review. The work of building your inner life. Inner work is not glamorous. There are no awards, no recognition, no applause. And at first it feels invisible, even frustrating. You can meditate, reflect, journal, or sit in silence, and the world continues spinning as if nothing is happening. But transformation doesn't always need an audience. True growth begins in solitude, in reflection, in the quiet moments where no one is watching. You begin by observing your thoughts instead of being swept away by them. You notice patterns that once ran automatically, the self-doubt that creeps in during presentations, the irritation that surfaces during minor inconveniences, the fear of judgment that keeps you silent in meetings. Awareness is the first step. Once you see your mind clearly, you can start to change it. You realize that the habits that have shaped your life are not your identity. They are choices that became automatic. You start experimenting. You replace harsh self-criticism with gentle reflection. You pause before reacting, asking, "Is this true? Is this helpful?" You learn to say no to things that drain your energy and yes to things that feed your growth. Inner work is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming conscious. It's about noticing where you've been living unconsciously and then stepping forward with intention. You explore your values, your fears, and your desires. You ask yourself uncomfortable questions. What am I avoiding? Who am I becoming if I continue on this path? What do I truly want to contribute? And slowly change begins. You notice a shift in your energy. You stop reacting to stress in the same old way. You feel more grounded, more centered, more aligned. The beauty of inner work is that it transforms everything silently. Your relationships improve because you're no longer projecting your old fears onto others. Your work improves because you're approaching it with clarity and intention. Your days improve because you're present, not just productive. You begin to see that the outer world, the office, the colleagues, the deadlines, reflects the state of your inner world. When you cultivate calm, clarity, and consciousness inside, everything outside begins to shift naturally. The art of inner work is a lifelong practice. There is no final destination. There are no promotions, no titles, no bonuses for completion. But the rewards are immeasurable. You gain freedom, you gain clarity, you gain resilience. And you realize that this is the foundation for everything else. The courage to evolve beyond the office, beyond expectation, beyond routine. Because nothing in the outer world can satisfy you if your inner world is neglected. Inner work is the secret that everyone who has ever grown beyond limitation knows. If you want to change your life, start within. Everything else will follow. Everything. Chapter 5. Beyond Productivity. You've been chasing productivity your entire life. From school to your first job, from deadlines to quarterly targets, you've been taught that success is measured in output. The busier you are, the more important you appear. The more you produce, the more you're rewarded. And you believed it. But there comes a moment when producing endlessly no longer feels satisfying. When achieving milestone after milestone doesn't fill the emptiness you feel inside. When you realize that success, defined solely as productivity, is a shallow and temporary reward. You start asking, what is the point of doing everything if none of it feeds my growth? What is the point of working tirelessly if my soul feels depleted? Beyond productivity is where true evolution begins. It's where you learn that your value is not determined by how much you do, but by how well you align with your purpose. You begin to notice how much time is spent on things that don't matter. Meetings that could have been emails, tasks done for approval rather than impact, hours filled with busyness to avoid facing yourself. You start to question every should in your life. I should finish this project. I should meet this expectation. I should follow this path. And you realize that the word should has been your cage. It has been conditioning you to serve everything but yourself. So you make a conscious choice. You start prioritizing what aligns with your values over what fills your calendar. You choose quality over quantity, impact over appearances. This doesn't mean you stop working hard. It means you start working intelligently. It means you stop investing energy in the trivial and start investing it in the meaningful. It means every action is measured not by how busy it makes you, but by how alive it makes you feel. Beyond productivity is also about reclaiming your time. You give yourself permission to rest, reflect, and recharge. You realize that creativity, insight, and clarity emerge not from constant doing, but from thoughtful being. You begin to notice patterns. When you slow down, solutions appear faster. When you pause, inspiration emerges. When you stop striving for more, you finally start achieving what matters most. This chapter of your life is about balance. It's about realizing that work is a tool, not your identity, not your purpose, not your worth. It's about mastering the art of intentional action. Every day you take small steps beyond productivity. You focus on tasks that move you closer to meaningful goals. You delegate or eliminate what drains you unnecessarily. You protect your time fiercely because you understand that time is the currency of growth. And slowly, you experience freedom. Freedom from meaningless busyness. Freedom from the illusion that more is always better. Freedom to live intentionally. You begin to see that life is not about doing everything. It's about doing what matters. It's not about quantity of accomplishments. It's about quality of experience. It's not about being busy. It's about being present. And in that presence, you find the power to evolve beyond the office, beyond expectation, and beyond limitation. You begin to live not for the world's definition of success, but for your own. Chapter 6: The Courage to Outgrow. There comes a moment in every life when growth demands risk. The familiar, comfortable routines no longer fit the person you are becoming. The office, the schedule, the expectations. They begin to feel like walls instead of support. You start noticing a tension inside yourself, a quiet, persistent urge that says, "I cannot stay here anymore." And that urge is both exhilarating and terrifying. The courage to outgrow is not about recklessness. It's not about quitting impulsively or rejecting responsibility. It's about recognizing that staying in a space that no longer serves you will cost you more than stepping into the unknown. It begins with honesty. You look at your life and ask difficult questions. Am I thriving or just surviving? Am I living to meet expectations or to honor my growth? Am I comfortable or am I settling? You realize that the fear you feel is not a warning to stay. It's a signal that transformation is near. Outgrowing your circumstances requires courage because it confronts everything you've been taught to value. You must let go of security, approval, and predictability. You may face doubt from others who cannot see your vision. You may feel the discomfort of uncertainty pressing in from all sides. But courage is not the absence of fear. It is moving forward in spite of it. You begin taking small steps that reflect your evolution. You stop agreeing to tasks that do not serve your purpose. You start dedicating time to what truly inspires you. You experiment with new ideas, new habits, new perspectives. Every choice to honor your growth strengthens your courage. And with every step, you discover something profound. Outgrowing is not leaving behind who you were. It is becoming who you were always meant to be. You learn to embrace discomfort as a sign of progress. You learn that endings are not failures, but invitations. And you begin to trust the unknown because it holds a space for possibility. The world may not understand why you step away from the predictable. Colleagues, friends, even family may question your choices. But those who matter will respect the integrity of your journey. Courage to outgrow is not a one-time act. It is a daily practice of listening to your inner evolution and responding with intention. It is choosing growth over comfort, alignment over approval, and purpose over routine. And once you claim that courage, life shifts. Your decisions become clearer. Your path becomes aligned with your essence. Your days feel lighter, yet more profound. You realize that stepping into the unknown is not abandoning stability. It is discovering a life far richer than anything your comfort zone could offer. Chapter 7: Redefining Success. For decades, you've been taught to measure success by external metrics. Promotions, salary increases, accolades, approval. You followed the formula faithfully, believing that if you ticked all the boxes, fulfillment would arrive. But now you're realizing the hard truth. Success as defined by others often leaves you empty. You've witnessed colleagues climb ladders while burning out. You've seen friends chase wealth while losing their health. You've even pursued recognition yourself and found it insufficient. Redefining success begins with a radical choice: to stop measuring your life by the world's standards and start measuring it by your own. Ask yourself, what does success look like for me? What feels meaningful? What contributions make me proud at the end of the day? True success is not the number on your paycheck, the size of your office, or the prestige of your title. It is alignment, living a life consistent with your values, your purpose, and your inner truth. You begin to define success in ways that matter to you. Success is waking up energized instead of drained. Success is making a positive impact instead of chasing recognition. Success is being present in your relationships instead of distracted by tasks. Success is growth, personal, intellectual, and spiritual. rather than accumulation. Redefining success requires courage as well, because society will constantly offer its own definition. It will tell you to earn more, achieve more, consume more. It will tempt you to trade your clarity and peace for external validation. But when you hold on to your own definition, everything changes. Work becomes an expression, not an obligation. Challenges become opportunities for learning, not threats to status. Every decision becomes a test. Does this serve my life or someone else's standard? You learn to celebrate small victories that align with your truth. A day spent learning, creating, or connecting can feel more successful than a week spent chasing empty accolades. You begin to notice how different life feels when you redefine success. Stress decreases, clarity increases, and your energy aligns with what truly matters. You work not to impress others, but to serve your purpose. You measure your growth by depth of experience, not breadth of output. Redefining success is also a gift to those around you. When you model living authentically, you inspire others to question their own patterns. When you choose alignment over expectation, you make space for meaningful impact. And most importantly, you begin to experience the joy that comes from living in integrity. Success is no longer a distant goal to chase. It is the unfolding of each intentional choice you make along the way. You realize that true achievement is not improving yourself to the world, but in honoring yourself fully. And in that realization, everything changes. Life begins to feel lighter, more expansive, and more vibrant. Because success is no longer something you pursue, it is something you embody. Chapter 8. Designing a Purposeful Life. You've begun to see that growth is not accidental, it is intentional. And with intentionality comes responsibility. The responsibility to design a life that aligns with who you truly are. Designing a purposeful life starts with awareness. You begin by asking yourself the right questions. What are my deepest values? What brings me genuine fulfillment? Which parts of my life currently drain me and which energize me? You take stock of your energy, your habits, and your routines. You examine your relationships, your work, your environment. You notice the moments when you feel fully alive versus the moments when you feel small, constrained, or distracted. This is not a process of judgment. It is a process of clarity. You stop labeling things as good or bad and begin asking, does this serve my growth? Every choice is filtered through that lens. Purposeful living is also about alignment. You begin to align your actions with your values. You stop saying yes out of obligation or fear. You choose projects, relationships, and experiences that resonate with your inner truth. You experiment. You iterate. You design your life the way a creator designs a masterpiece, with patience, precision, and vision. And yet you learn that purpose is not static. It evolves as you evolve. What feels meaningful today may change tomorrow, and that's part of the journey. You embrace flexibility while holding on to clarity. You learn to steer your life like a compass rather than a clock, guided by direction, not by rigid schedules. Purposeful living also means setting boundaries. You stop pouring energy into obligations that don't serve you. You say no gracefully, without guilt, to everything that misaligns with your growth. And in doing so, you create space to breathe, create, and experience fully. You also begin to integrate reflection into your daily routine. A purposeful life is not accidental. It is constantly evaluated, refined, and aligned. Every day you ask, am I living intentionally? Am I acting from my values? Every day you course correct, nudging yourself closer to the life that resonates deeply. The beauty of designing a purposeful life is that it transforms ordinary existence into extraordinary experience. Tasks become meaningful, challenges become lessons, interactions become connections. And you find joy not only in achieving, but in living consciously every step of the way. Purposeful living is freedom. Not the freedom of doing anything, but the freedom of choosing what matters. And when you claim that freedom, life begins to feel expansive, intentional, and aligned with your truest self. Chapter 9. Freedom within structure. It may sound paradoxical, freedom and structure bound together, But the truth is, one cannot exist without the other. Without structure, freedom becomes chaos. Without freedom, structure becomes confinement. The evolution beyond the office is not about abandoning discipline, but about creating systems that serve your life, not control it. You begin to recognize patterns in your days that empower you. You implement rituals that support clarity, energy, and focus. You schedule time for reflection, learning, and creation. You protect your energy like currency, understanding that structure without purpose is pointless. But you also resist rigidity. Structure is a tool, not a cage. It is flexible, adaptable, and designed to support growth. You allow your plans to change when new opportunities arise. You allow your creativity to flow, knowing that discipline without flexibility stifles innovation. Freedom within structure is the sweet spot of evolution. It's when you can pursue your goals with intention, while still being responsive to inspiration, insight, and intuition. It's where your calendar serves your life, rather than your life serving your calendar. You notice how much of your old routine was reactionary. Emails dictated your day, notifications stole your attention, deadlines controlled your energy. Now you invert the system, you design structure around your energy and purpose. Your work, habits, and daily schedule become tools to amplify your freedom, rather than limit it. And the more you integrate freedom and structure, the more empowered you feel. You can pursue your purpose without burning out. You can expand your skills without losing yourself. You can create abundance without sacrificing your well-being. You also begin to notice how this approach transforms your perception of life itself. Tasks no longer feel like chores, but like instruments of growth. Time becomes a friend instead of a tyrant. Every day you experience the joy of intentional living, knowing that discipline is not restriction, but liberation. You realize that structure is not the enemy of freedom, it is its foundation, and freedom is not the absence of limits. It is the presence of choice. By mastering this balance, you step into a life where evolution is possible, where your days are not dictated by external pressures, but guided by your inner compass, where your potential is no longer constrained by habit, fear, or obligation, but liberated through mindful design. And in this balance, you discover one of life's greatest truths. The most empowered people are not the busiest nor the most talented, but those who can create freedom within structure and live intentionally every day. Chapter 10. The Evolution Beyond. You've traveled far without even leaving your chair. You've walked through the corridors of your mind, examined the patterns that have held you, questioned the beliefs that have limited you, and glimpsed the possibility of life beyond expectation. This is the moment where the journey becomes real, where evolution is no longer theoretical and transformation is no longer an idea. It is your lived experience. The evolution beyond is not about rejecting work or ambition. It is about transcending the mindset that ties your worth to a title, a paycheck, or an external standard. It is about recognizing that your value was never measured by a desk, a schedule, or a system. It was always inherent, always alive, always waiting for your attention. You look back at your old self, the one who chased approval, the one who equated busyness with purpose, the one who defined identity by occupation, and you realize that self was necessary. It carried you through survival, taught you discipline, and built the foundation for everything you have today. But survival is no longer enough. You've grown. You've awakened. You've remembered that life is about more than moving through tasks. It is about living intentionally, meaningfully, fully. Now the world asks a different question. Not what do you do, but who are you becoming? You begin to live with that question at the center of every decision. You align your actions with your values. You cultivate your energy with care. You prioritize growth over approval, presence over performance, impact over recognition. This is evolution, moving from a life dictated by circumstances to a life guided by consciousness. The evolution beyond asks you to embrace paradox, to honor structure while cherishing freedom, to pursue achievement while nurturing presence, to work hard while living deeply. It requires courage, consistency, and clarity. It asks you to face discomfort, relinquish old attachments, and redefine success on your own terms. But it also rewards you with something priceless, a life that feels expansive, intentional, and aligned. A life where each day is a reflection of your values and every action is infused with purpose. You realize that the world will continue to measure success by titles, paychecks, and accolades. And that's okay, because you no longer need the world's approval to feel worthy. You have discovered your own measure, and it is infinite. The evolution beyond the office is not a destination. It is a practice. It is a way of being. It is the daily choice to live intentionally, to grow consciously, and to embody your fullest potential. You begin to notice the freedom in this approach. No longer constrained by fear, doubt, or societal expectation, you can finally explore the edges of your potential. You can create, contribute, connect, and expand without sacrificing your essence. And with each conscious choice, you rise. Not above others, but above limitation, above unconscious patterns, above the life you once thought defined you. You begin to understand something profound. The evolution beyond is not about abandoning your past. It is about integrating it, learning from it, and using it as a springboard into the life you were always meant to lead. You carry forward the lessons of busyness, identity, awakening, inner work, productivity, courage, purpose, and freedom, each one a stepping stone to a higher way of living. And in the quiet moments when the world slows and you listen, you hear a new rhythm, a rhythm that belongs to you. It is the rhythm of conscious choice, intentional action, and aligned living. It is the rhythm of evolution. This is your life beyond the office, your life beyond expectation, your life beyond limitation. Step into it fully. Live it intentionally. Evolve beyond it all, because you are not just working, surviving, or performing anymore. You are becoming, and becoming is the greatest achievement of all.